I think Vintage really affected us in the fact that it was being a part of something that has been here for 10 years. And to see how God really used that in the city of New Orleans to make a huge difference for the gospel, which is, it's kind of cool to be like, hey, we can do it here, we can do it anywhere.
I think that the people at Vintage at the time of my life when I met Christ were pivotal in showing me the unabounding love and grace of Jesus and what he can do to chase us down past our running away from him.
Hi Vintage Church, greetings from Texas.
We think about you often and pray for you, and we are so encouraged by the work that you are doing for the advancement of the gospel in New Orleans.
We remember our time at Vintage and so blessed by the focus of evangelism and spreading the good news with our neighbors and those around us.
One thing that was so impactful to me was the sense of Christian community that we lived in and learning how to do life together.
When it first began, I was a pretty big part of Vintage. I would sit on the back of pickup trucks and hand water out through the streets of New Orleans, and it was just amazing. It really gave me a purpose in a time that was a little bit difficult for me, relocating to New Orleans from New York for graduate school, not knowing anybody, and it really helped me connect with the people of New Orleans, and it helped me to see how God wanted me to use my gifts, like reaching out to those in the community, which kind of goes hand in hand to what I'm doing now as a social worker.
Vintage taught me so much about what it means to serve others. Matt joined the production team right away. He knew how to work a camera and wanted to put his skills to good use. I dragged my feet the whole way. I don't know anything about lights or sound or computers or cameras, so I made excuses, and it took over 2 years of Matt asking before I agreed to even try production team. But I'm so glad I did it. I found such a great community in production team. Not long after I joined production team, Matt joined the military. I still had a year of school left, and so I was living alone in New Orleans. Me, a woman who deals with mental illness and loneliness. But between production and my community group, Vintage Church made sure that I always had people there looking out for me. I didn't have to be alone. I went into production thinking I might be a blessing to others, but I ended up feeling blessed.
The one great thing I've heard at Vintage was at the end of each service, Pastor Rob would say, "Go be the church," and that has always stuck with me. And even today, I think about that every time I'm at church, every time I'm helping to lead people inside of our church, in our small group. I think that church is not within the bounds or the walls of the building, but we live it each and every hour, each and every day.
My now current husband I met in New Orleans, and as a result of Vintage, he was actually baptized by Pastor Rob, which was a pretty awesome experience as well.
Going back to when Tiffany and I kind of met, and small groups, being part of a small group was so vitally important. Obviously, we hit it off in a small group, which was pretty cool, but nonetheless, that really helped resonate what we found to be community outside of the Sunday mornings, something that we really focused in on during our journey after leaving New Orleans and heading up to Chicago for a little bit, and now we're in Michigan. So definitely something that set us on that spiritual path, making sure that we have that kind of community around us, so vitally important.
We miss you, Vintage Church. Happy birthday, Vintage.
We are so thankful for you.
We love you!
We just want to celebrate with you guys. Happy 10th anniversary, happy birthday, Vintage. Hope you all have a great celebration, and definitely keep it going. Keep chasing after Jesus and loving the community.